All right. So this is where I'm at. I guess I'm gonna call this official game dev journey episode one. So this is what I made. It is just movement using Defold, showing off different animations. Um, I was trying to vibe code games with Codex. Absolutely terrible experience. Did not enjoy myself whatsoever. I think Codex is a terrible vibe coding tool. Just use Claude. Despite its problems and whatnot, it's still a good coworker. With Codex, I feel like I have to be so explicit, so clear, know exactly what I'm gonna do, that at that point I might as well just do it myself, right? You know, it's a different headspace. With Codex, it's not a fun tool. It's not something I do for fun. I don't enjoy it. With Claude, I can kind of shut my brain off and see where it takes me. You know, Codex, maybe if I'm developing, right, and I need a specific thing, like I went through this first tutorial. It's right here in the README, right? It's to get adjusted to Defold. The reason I chose Defold is because I don't like the Godot editor and I can't run Unity. And through using Codex and these vibe coding tools, in which I have to build all the functionality, when I say the AI, the code base gets too complex and too hard to understand, that at that point, I tried using Love 2D and Love 2, same issue though. Ultimately, it's the code base gets too complex and I don't know where's what, that becomes a pain in the ass. And one thing I have learned through bouncing through different engines is there's not a single perfect engine. Every single one has flaws and issues, and it's up to you to deal with them. Now, the perfect engine for you might exist in your head, but then at that point, you are not a game developer. You are an engine developer, and you would spend all your time developing that engine. I tried, but maybe I should change my focus from building games to like building game engine. But it is what it is. I mean, we'll see. So, yeah, in terms of the character script, this is like a 15-minute tutorial. In Defold, one of the things I like is that there is a lot of padding with scripts. So if I press somewhere, if I press new file, or right here, new, give me 1 second while I look for script. So if I put new script, just call it whatever. Look, the cool thing is that it has a lot of padding. It's very new beginner friendly, right? It tells you we have this init here. So it's code that runs at the start of the game, code that runs at the end. The update is what happens while it's running, right, during the game loop. This is at the end of the update cycle. This is a fixed update frequency on message, so on input. So it has a lot of padding that makes it very easy to like work with, right? So in terms of tutorial, this took like 15 minutes, and we end about Defold by going through this. Is the atlas. If I could find the atlas, I will show you. But let's see. Oh, input mapping is also super simple. You go right here, and then boom, you put an action, and then if self that direction, no, that's for, right here. If action equals hash down, right? The hash down is me writing down right here for action. That's so simple for movement. I love that. The other thing I like is, I know Godot uses nodes and whatnot. Shit. Let me see if I can show off. Here at least, it uses game object, and a game object is just a container, and the container contains a character, right, script, and a sprite, and the sprite is just the asset, right? That makes things so much, at least in my head, it makes sense compared to here. I found the character atlas. So the other thing I liked is just how simple, whatever. Let's pick something that's easy. Okay, so in terms of animation, right? All you really do is um, animation is super simple in Defold. All you got to do is you go into your atlas, right? You right click, add animation, right? And once you press add animation, you add images, and then you select all your images. Boom, right? This is all running down. Boom, right? And then you just call this down. You select how much frames you want, and that's it, bro. That's it. You already set up the entire animation, right? You selected all the images that constitute an animation, and that's it. You have an animation. Just make sure to call your assets in number order for the animation, and then it runs. And that's it, bro. Super simple, super quick, super fast. And then from there, you just call animation by its and then to like play a certain animation, you just call a certain ID. Super simple, super clean. That is my first experience of using Defold. I tried before, but the issue is I have bounced around through so many game engines and whatnot. I tried frameworks, I tried from scratch, and ultimately I said, fuck it, bro. I'm making zero progress. And, I need to just pick something that I could deal with its problems and accept. And that's what I decided to do. I'd rather just accept the issues and the problems associated with Defold and just stick with it and learn it. It's kind of like with music. You could sit there, fuck around all you want, but eventually you have to sit down and just learn a DAW, right? All game engines are gonna functionally work the same, more or less. All frameworks, same thing. Game engines are higher level. One thing I realized with AI, and part of the reason files and actually organize myself, because every time I would tell it like to organize, it does some bullshit, and I would have to express it how to organize. So I guess in some aspects, Codex is great for learning how to program, but you are gonna fuck up really bad, and Codex will let you fuck up really bad. But I mean, there are some perks to Codex. It helps you map your brain. It helps you figure out how to organize. I'm gonna emphasize the word how. While Claude kind of like deals with that shit, it does some assumptions on its part. Codex not necessarily. So I guess there are some perks to Codex. But all in all, I think I'm just gonna sit down and just really learn Defold as my game engine of choice. Just because, it's fun to mess around with like these AI apps and whatnot, but ultimately, from my understanding so far with AI and stuff like that, the two important skills you have to learn with AI is one, managing complexity, right? You have to learn how to manage complexity. Even if you are not a programmer, you still have to manage complexity. You have to figure out how can this be simplified. Now, it doesn't take rocket science to start saying, okay, this code base is getting too large. What repeats itself and what can we turn into reusable utility, right? Reusable functions. Or this spread out. How do we organize? What's the criteria for organization? How do we cluster things together to make it make sense? What comes before this? Like, okay, I built this out, and the reason why it's hard coded is because there was a dependency tree, blah blah blah. You know what I mean? Like, you kind of have vibe code stuff because I think it's great for prototyping and getting ideas going and flowing. And chances are truth be told, chances are the ideas you have in your head are more similar than they are different. Okay? They are more similar than they are different. And what I would actually suggest would be closer to building a good, like, starting off point to test out ideas. There are probably lots of meta patterns associated with your ideas, and it's your job to figure out what the patterns are with your ideas. Second of all, um, you know, some people can definitely create a finished product with AI. I think you could definitely do it with Claude for sure. I know I keep saying Claude, but like I only by using, like, I was just using, Anthropics, just Claude in general, and then I tried Codex because I wanted some more tokens. Only then did I realize just how much hand holding Claude does, bro. Um, Claude does a lot of hand holding that I did not realize. All right, lots and lots of hand holding and assumptions that I got tired of, but then I realized it was more beneficial in the long term. Um, but yeah, I'm still figuring that shit out. It's all about steering the AI models and also complexity management. Those are like the biggest skills. So I guess all in all though, but if I could be a little bit more like explicit, it's complexity management and intent expression without distortions. I think those are the two most important skills. Intent expression without distortions means knowing enough grammar and vocabulary, right, to articulate yourself exactly how you wish to articulate. But anyways, sorry, I was rambling. This is it. Bye.